Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of our series on the 243 Winchester. Now, before we get going too far, just a quick note to the YouTube reviewers who are looking at this video. This is a purpose-built shooting range. I am trained in firearms usage, and this is a stock, unmodified firearm. And we will not be making any changes to the firearm in this video today. So in the last video, we did a little bit of shooting with the 90 grain ELD-X, and that's the same bullet we're using today. In the last video, we used IMR 4064, Reloader 15, and H4350. The results were not that great, but I did get some good velocity numbers to go off of. And in today's video, we're going to be focusing on the two powders that gave us the best extreme spreads and standard deviations. And that was IMR 4064 and H4350. H4350 also gave the best velocity, so that's kind of what I anticipate being the powder we go with, though I'm not 100% sure, and that's kind of why we're doing this test today. I do have sighters loaded up with H4350, and I've already sighted in the gun here at 100 yards. The first few shots that I'm getting here at 100 yards are not very promising, so I'm hoping we get something better to work with in the load workup. If you'll remember in the last video, I torqued the action screws, got them to proper spec, checked the scope rings, all of that, so we should be in a really good place to start the test today. So I'm going to throw in some earplugs, and we're going to get started shooting the 4064 loads. Like I said, the gun is sighted in now at 100 yards, which is where the target is sitting. I do have the chronograph set up to capture velocities, just to have more numbers to go off of, especially since the temperature is a little bit different today. It's about 52 degrees, and it'll be dropping throughout the evening. First shot will be at that top left-hand target. Good, brass looks good, just like it did last time. I was just looking back at my notes here. The place we stopped last time with 4064 was at 37.1 grains. We're shooting that group now. The next group will be 37.5 grains, which is just one step above published max for this powder. I'm fighting a little bit with my shooting wrist. It's kind of wanting to slide all over this painted concrete bench. Not quite as nice as my wood one at home, though it is a little more stable, I guess. Try not to be putting any more torque than necessary on the forearm, because this barrel is touching the stock. All right, not a great group to start things out. Looks like about 2 MOA, which unfortunately is what we were getting at 50 yards as well. Because this is a pencil profile barrel, and 243 is kind of a rocket ship of a little round, we're going to let this barrel cool down pretty well in between shots. Tell you what, me and controlled round feed do not get along. Second group here, go top middle on this one. Yeah, brass still looks fine. A little bit of primer cratering, just like we had before. Nothing to worry about. Not quite sure where that last round went. I got to change the target anyway to switch to our H4350 load, so I'm going to go check that out, and I'll take a look at the chronograph, see if it was any better than the first group. That first group with IMR 4064 had an average of 29.46, but the extreme spread was 159 feet per second, which is crazy high. Let's see if this did any better. It did do a little better. Extreme spread was 73 feet per second with a standard deviation of 26. Way higher than I want. for sure. All right, we do indeed have, no, there's the other bullet. Still about 2 inches. Well, no, that's less than 2 inches. This one's maybe 1 3/4, that one's maybe 1 1/2. And we are on to H4350. Now, I am shooting the same 2 top charges we ended up on last time. Yep, 42.5 and 42.9. I guess I'm actually eliminating the top charge from last time just because the extreme spread was so high. The extreme spread on that was 51, whereas it was 14 and 20 on the other 2 groups. So we're going with 42.5 and 42.9 grains of H4350. I'm going to shoot each one of these charge weights twice. The first time I loaded up this brass for this test, something felt weird, and I think I forgot to chamfer the case necks. So anything for this first charge, I'll shoot 42.5 on the top and 42.9 on the bottom. If this first one doesn't end up to be any good, ignore that, and we'll shoot that same test again to see if that lack of chamfering had anything to do with it. I wanted to go ahead and shoot these first ones rather than pulling them because I do kind of want to fire form the brass. Anyway, so that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to change my 0 at all. I think I am shooting a little bit higher with the H4350 here than I was the 4064, but I guess we'll find out. Primers are a tad flatter. They're a tad flatter than with the 4064, but that is the same as I saw last time, and I didn't encounter any other problems or any signs of pressure. Okay, we are indeed shooting higher. Okay, and that one was like 4 inches low from the first shot. You'll see that the gun is jumping around quite a bit. That's not because this gun kicks hard. I'm trying to give this gun kind of a free recoil type of shooting as much as I can, just because I don't want to be putting much pressure down onto the stock, because the stock and the barrel are making contact with each other. Yeah, this isn't even trying to group. Yeah, just kind of sprayed them all over the paper from what I can tell. I'm going to go take a closer look at it. I thought the first shot went way high, but this is only a 16 power scope, and it's hard to see those little 6mm bullet holes, so I'm going to go down there and take a look and see if I can get a better idea. It'll also give the gun a good chance to cool all the way down. I was having a little problem with mirage on those last few shots. Yep, sure enough, we spread them from here to here. That's insane. All right, guys, so I said that group is going to be horrible, or I thought it might be. So I'm going to ignore that. We're not even going to shoot the next row of loads that I loaded with the unchamfered cases. I'll just shoot those at 200 yards or something and plink with them. What I do want to do, because I am waiting for the gun to cool down and I want to give it plenty of time, just to double check my shooting, I'm going to shoot a known accurate rifle and load combination. Now this load's a little bit tweaked. I probably am not going to get a half MOA like I'm used to, but should be under 1 anyway. I still have some dialing in to do on this load. This is the 6.5 Creedmoor. I'm going to take that lower left-hand target. I am set at the same magnification I was, or there. Now I'm set at the same magnification I was with that 243. And let me just take a quick group here. I'm going to have to do something about getting a better shooting rest. I just cannot settle in with this one, especially with this cheap rear bag. Okay, I'm way low on the paper there. That's okay, though. I'll still be able to see my group. Here, I'll bring my point of aim up a little bit. I think I have one more. Okay, never mind about not being able to shoot a half MOA. That was probably 0.4. So anyway, glad I could clear that out of the way. That is not necessarily my shooting. And like I said, we're going to skip that next row with the questionable loads, and we'll go right to the 42.5 grain charge of the H4350 and loads I just loaded up before I came to the range, and everything went very smoothly. Okay, top middle target there. Tell you what, let's go all the way to the right. Whacking the back of my own hand with the heel of that grip there. Alright, that's not the worst in the world. About the same as those 40-64 groups we were shooting. Somewhere around that 1.5" group size range, which kind of stinks. I'm going to give the gun a good cool down, like let it cool all the way back down again, and we'll shoot this last group, and I'm hoping we get something better. All right, last group, it's been 15-20 minutes. The barrel is cool to the touch, but not outdoors temperature cool, so I'm really hoping for halfway decent things here. Let's make this a great last group. Though I think we still are gonna need some work. Let's go bottom middle target for this one, so I can try not to hit my target camera. Well, might be trying to group right there in the center, but overall, that is pretty gross. I guess we'll get back to the bench. All right, folks, we are down here at the bench taking a look at these targets, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. After seeing the results from the shooting today, I was extremely discouraged. Actually, it's been about 2 weeks since I shot this test, and I've been doing a little bit of research to try to figure out what we can do to make this better. First, let's take a look at these two targets. Got 1.67 inches here and 1.56 inches on the second group. That's with IMR 4064. And then I didn't even bother measuring the H4350 groups. They're just huge. This one, ignore this. We did some shooting with the 6.5 Creedmoor just to verify that it wasn't me. Shot, tell you what, I do want to put the calipers on that. That's 4 shots into a little bigger than I thought, 0.57. But anyway, you get the picture. We are all over the place. Here's that group there, whatever. I'll put the calipers on it just to see. I'm guessing we're 4+ inches. 3.5. So anyway, terrible accuracy. These two groups shot a similar pattern, putting 3 here and 2 outside, but I watched it and it wasn't the same shots or anything on the test. Here is where things get a little bit interesting. So on the 40-64 groups, these were better overall, and the first 3 shots of both groups were significantly better than the 5-shot group. Taking a look at the first 3 on this are 0.85. First 3 on this right there into a 0.59. Kind of good here, right? That's under an MOA, plenty accurate enough. I went back and looked at the 40-64 loads from the last test. And in that test, the 40-64 shot decent 3-shot groups in that as well. What I'm wondering is, do we have a major problem with barrel heat? Some of the research that I was doing and reading other guys that were shooting the M77 were saying that the forend on that stock presses into the barrel so much that you get just a little bit of barrel heat and everything gets thrown out of whack. And I'm wondering if that's what we're seeing here. If we could get 3-shot groups at anywhere under an inch, anywhere under 1 MOA, that is, I'm going to be super happy with that. The velocities for the 4064 are quite a bit lower, like 100 feet per second lower, even with this top charge here. I believe this was 37.5 grains. It's still an extremely reasonable velocity for a 22-inch barreled 243. So what I want to do, this video is not over. I am going to tack a little bit more onto it. I've loaded up 12 more shots. I've got 2 3-shot groups at 37.1 grains and 2 3-shot groups at 37.5 grains. What I want to do is test, and I'm going to let the barrel cool down completely in between each of these 3-shot groups. What I want to do is test if the barrel heat is in fact a factor. I wasn't shooting these groups super fast, but it was quick enough that the barrels were definitely hot by the time I'd shot all 5 shots. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get back out to the range and shoot 2 groups each at these same charge weights that we tested just a little bit ago and see if we get decent 3-shot groups out of this gun. If we do, I'm totally ditching what I thought before, and that was that we were going to go with the H4350 as the powder of choice. If we can still be shooting that 2950 to 2970 range for the velocity and get under 1 MOA, that's going to be what I'm going to consider spectacular results for this gun with a non-free floated barrel. So let's jump right out there to the 50-yard range. I don't really see any reason to stretch this out to 100 yards again, especially with the hour round trip of driving that involves for me. We're going to jump out to the 50-yard range and we're going to test these again and see if we can definitively nail this down. I'm going to get everything lined up here, and then I'm going to shoot here at 50 yards. We're going to shoot the 37.1 grain loads on the top row and the 37.5 grain loads on the bottom row. And I'm going to shoot 37.1, then 37.5, 37.1, then 37.5. I'm going to let the barrel cool down for a solid 15 to 20 minutes in between each group, just to make sure that we're eliminating as much barrel heat from the equation as possible. I'm also going to try to take about a full minute in between shots, 1 to 2 minutes. And I'll put that on a timer so that I'm not rushing things. I want to do this as precisely as we possibly can so that we know for sure whether we can trust the results that we're getting today. So here we are, starting out 37.1. All right, I'm not going to probably do too much talking throughout this whole thing, just going to take my time and shoot everything really well. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my mic off. You might hear a little bit different audio on the gunshots. It's nothing different with the gun, just a different camera that you'll be hearing sound from. "15 minutes on the timer. We'll come back and shoot the next group when that's up." I'm really liking what I'm seeing down there. That first group had a shot that was way outside the other two, but it stacked the next two right on top of each other, and then this one stacked all 3 right in a nice tight little group. So maybe we're onto something. I don't want to speak too soon. We still have another 2 groups to go, but maybe we're onto something. All right, 15 more minutes on the timer. Alright folks, back down to the bench one last time on this video. Alright folks, we are down here at the bench for what should be the last time in this load workup. I'm going to go ahead and say, hypothesis confirmed. And while we didn't get super great on this one came out to 2 MOA, and these, with the 37.5 grain charge, came out to just over 1 MOA. I'm going to say like 1.2 MOA for the most part. Now, with our 5-shot groups, we did end up spreading them just a little bit further than that, 1.6 and 1.5 at 100 yards. Is it really that much better with the 5-shot groups? Not really. We actually came up with the same-ish group size here at 100 yards as we did today at 50. I am going to say this last shot right here, my trigger pull was not what it should have been. Would that shot have ended up over here and made these groups about the same point of impact? Maybe. The moral of the story is we are under 2 MOA. And that is the territory we want to be in. With the H4350, we were not. We were between 3 and 4 MOA. So this is what we're going with. The 37.5 grain charge of IMR 4064. Now let's take a quick look at the brass. This is the brass from the last time I shot 4064 as well. If you can see here, here is the 37.1 grain. You can see we've got a little bit of primer cratering, still a little roundness at the edge of the primer there, and bumping up to the 37.5. We've got maybe just a little more primer cratering. Let me pick a different piece of brass here. But not bad at all, and still have a round edge on that. Now this might be just a little more flattened than the other. I'm not worrying about that too much. This charge is 0.4 of a grain over Hornady's listed max. Let me double check that real quick. All right, here it is. This data includes the 90 grain ELD-X, and their max listed charge is 37.1 grains. But remember, we're seeding this bullet out way longer than they call for at 2.640. I don't think the pressure is an issue, and I'm not really worried about it. We are shooting in about 60-degree weather today. I would be really interested to see what it does at maybe 90 degrees, just to see if we have any more pressure signs, but there was no heavy bolt lift. The primer still got a nice round edge. I'm really not too worried about it, and I think this is going to be the best possible load we're going to come to. So that's what it is. 37.5 grains of 4064 is the load that I'm going to go with. Now, I do plan to do just a little more work with this load. I have got 59 more pieces of brass, and I'd really rather have it all fire formed. So we are going to be doing some more with the 243. Some of that is a little bit of a surprise, I suppose. Something completely different than I originally planned on, but we're going to make sure all this brass is fire formed, and then we're going to tumble, resize, anneal, all of that good stuff, trim it down, get it all as close to itself as we can, and then we'll verify the load one more time and just make sure everything is going like it should be. So like I said, there is a little bit more to come in 243, but that's going to do it for now. I'm happy where we ended up, and I think the guy that's going to be shooting this load and hunting with it is going to be pretty happy with it too. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Check us out over on Patreon and Instagram. Not really posting anything over on Patreon, but it's just the spot that you guys can help the channel out a little bit if you want to. And I do post quite a bit more on Instagram than I do here on YouTube, just kind of showing what I'm doing out on the range. Oftentimes you will see things there way before you see them here on YouTube. And I don't make any money from Instagram or anything, so that is just kind of for fun over there. So anyway, thank you guys again so much for watching. Y'all have a good one.